Hey everyone, welcome back to work. And yeah, it's Monday. Did my hairs, they're fine. So in theory, there we go. I was gonna say my phone is supposed to yell at me to tell me I'm doing something, and I am. All right, X out of that. Why? How does this include paid promotion? I don't understand. I didn't click that. All right, let's see here. Going live, soldering F wires, IRES. Post. Okay. Yeah, so there's 4 wires that go into a fuel pump. The original factory parts have those go through a fitting, and I think they're soldered to pins, and then the fitting is filled with an epoxy. That epoxy seems to last at worst like 4 or 5 years, and then at best, I'm sure there are some that are approaching 20 years of age and they're fine. So, yeah. Okay. I'm not quite sure how to show all this, so yeah. Just bring you right in to the action, but I need my eyeballs. And I need a fan. Hopefully that fan works. I've probably soldered over 500 sets of wires. There's 4 wires on each set, so that's 2,000 end solder joints. I've gone through different kinds of solder. One of the best ones, honestly, was the one that came with one of those little creepy cheap tools as seen on TV. And then when it ran out, I was searching the world over and I went through every kind I could find. And this one was my favorite. It just flows enough to get the job done. I use a solder gun. An iron doesn't get enough heat into the wires to make a big enough blob. Unlike normal soldering, when you do these wires, we're doing a mechanical blocking of fluids. So we have to have a nice 3 times as much solder as you need blob. These tips tend to wear out, and what you see, it's very narrow right there, and it was this wide originally, so this one's about to fail. I keep the tips pretty clean. I use a file occasionally. Of course, it's like really difficult because you're watching, you know how that works. Pretty much I try to keep these from getting dark spots. And what I found is that where it's not making contact with the conductor is where it like disappears from the tip. So it starts making kind of a fork shape, because in the middle is where we're doing the soldering, and we aren't doing anything to wrap the wires or otherwise secure them. They're just them. They have to fit in a very narrow tube. So we just don't have room to do other tricks. I use tip tenor. You can get that on the Jungle website. It comes up when you start searching for things. Actually, before we do this, let's double check our lugs. Okay, pretty tight. Pretty tight. Check them often. Those suckers get bad all the time. And I have no idea who's trying to call me right now. That's awfully weird. So we're going to tin the tip. Just get some heat going. You just melt a little bit across it, and it makes tremendous stink that you probably don't want to inhale. That's why the fan is just making a gentle breeze going this way. I guess whoever that was on that phone call said no. All right, I told Google to screen it. Okay, the next trick is you're going to want an acid brush and flux. I've tried different cheats, none work. I've tried pens, I've done everything I can to cheat on this. There just isn't a cheat. So I get the wires and I try to get them kind of even at the ends. Now there's a little bit of prep that happened before this from last time. We use these rubber connector seals. So these are intended for when you have a barrel connector that they would seal the elements. The whole point of these is to help hold the epoxy in while it dries. They go into this sleeve we had made. And then after soldered, we smash these through, and then we'll hang them and put, all the other steps. It's all the arts and crafts crap you have to do when you're making things. So it's a lot of whatever it takes to get the job done. This particular task, there is no speeding it up. So the white one always has to be next to the end, because on most of our sets of wires, it is twice the diameter. So I use the brush to apply the flux. The cats attack each other next door. Moses. We might need to intervene soon. Pretty much it's just Mitzi being the diva. She doesn't appreciate attention from Elliot, so she screams bloody murder a lot. So these wires I'm soldering together are basically recovered and rebuilt failed wires from before. They failed some kind of test. So this is the internal side. And same deal. You just kind of goo them up. Now we're going to point you down at the table. This is my workstation. So this is the flux, and the way I use it is I get some on the brush, and then I swirl it in the lid to thin it out. Then I apply it to one side of the wires, and then I kind of twist them and try to apply to the other side. I have plenty of flux. This is a jig I built. So now we have to coax the wires into staying put so we can solder them. So you can't see. Let me bring you in right over me. Wow, that's pretty blurry. I don't know what you can or cannot see. So you can tell these are remarkably fiddly. I use a small plier to help arrange them to touch. And that doesn't want to. There we go. So they're all touching. How can we change your experience? Is there a way to make it better? Well, maybe I'll just try a different angle every few times because actually I just really can't stand doing this at all. Now, seriously, anyone who's done soldering on a board, this is way too much. For not normal, this is a special case. If you don't make a giant glob, it's not going to be enough. That's all there is to it. And it didn't get over here. I'll just help drag it over. Okay. Normally I have the fan to my side to blow this across. That's not enough. And I'm just pouring the solder in on the wires themselves. While it's still warm, this tip will probably fail today. So like kind of the next fun part is everything around here is meltable. So you have to figure out how you're going to handle putting your iron up. There's this little slot at the end. So you have to come up with a workflow. Like that's a big part of this is every time's a little different. Now we're going to turn them over. And we have to do it again. Now you have to do it again because there's always some exposed conductors. And we really want to make sure we have every possible chance for these things to be sealed. Well, hi, troublemaker. There's the troublemaker. Yep, he was over chasing Mitzi, little jerk. Okay. Distraction over. Can we focus? Can we focus? Focus. Okay. Now I'm going to get the solder ready. We don't necessarily need it, especially when we did enough globbing. Just kind of come up beside it, get the heat going, then work around the blob. Basically, you're just reflowing this side. And then if you need to add some, just go ahead and have it there. We didn't quite get enough on the black wires, and I see a little bit on the red wires. We're going to add to that too. And scrapey, scrapey. Scraping doubles the life of the tip. All right, we need a rag, and it should be reasonably clean. And we're gonna go find a more clean rag. Okay. All right, here's one that's super duper clean. That's great. You don't want solvents. I mean, the whole point of this step here is to remove things that impede the epoxy from sealing against our little interface. So just put that over there. Now what we do is we smash each joint with part of these pliers. In fact, we'll go ahead and hit these with this is almost the only thing I use these pliers for anymore. I mean, we don't do motorcycle repair. There was a time when we did. That time is long gone. Good enough. So now what we do is we smash it once, smash it the other way. We make a little square. So this helps ensure that we have no ducting or passageways through the middle for gasoline to flow through. It also makes the joints smaller and less likely to touch each other when they're next to each other inside the cup. And so obviously we won't want them touching, but we'll do stuff to spread these. On the next step, we put a block of wood in here, a little tiny wooden dowel when we zip tie it, and that helps hold the different conductors apart, as does the rubber. A different angle. And what if we move over here more? What if we turn off this light? Maybe. It's kind of bizarre. Let me try to block some of the natural light. Well, that's better anyway. I mean, geez, I guess I could turn off the lights. Okay. Slightly different view. I mean, honestly, I make this look like it isn't that big of a deal, but it is soul draining to do these. Yes, ma'am. Oh, yay. What kind of foods? Oh, thank you. All right, so we're going to get those in here. So that was an example of how we do this. If you have questions about why I do or do not perform other means on this, feel free to comment. This one we're gonna edit this wire a little bit because that's just too much of a difference. To smash the like button, pretty please. And then if you want to catch me when I go live in the future, do please hit the notification bell. I welcome people to participate. I have like one fan in the UK that occasionally checks in. We line up the colors, maybe. maybe. There we go. So it's just like super tedious because the wires are all bent like in weird ways. The ends don't line up. It's just nothing wants to behave and play nice. So we're going to call this it for now. I'll change your angle here. This is just a toggle clamp, nothing too special. And then I drilled holes for the diameters of these and just milled flat. And then I bolted those. I bolted one to this plate, and then I intended to make it adjustable. And I didn't really need to. I could have just, it hasn't moved ever. So, all right. Thanks so much. And yeah, that's one way to solder the ends of wires together. It's the only way that has worked for this exact situation. I've tried everything. I've had incredibly talented or incredibly great suggestions from talented and experienced people. And pretty much they're all like, yeah, that sucks, doesn't it? All right. Thanks so much. We'll see you later. I'll hit end. And we'll hit end again. Closing smile. See ya.